Welcome to this short video clip on finding the area of a circle. We're going to look at 3 questions. One where we get given a radius, one where we get given a diameter, and then an application question as well. So how are we going to use this? How is it going to be useful to us? Where we're going to start is we're going to look at what the formula is to find the area of any circle. So how do I find the area of any circle? I'm going to use this formula up here. Area is pi times the radius squared, and if I was going to type that into a calculator, pi times radius squared, and I would just replace the letter r with whatever value I have determined the radius to be. So whenever we see any circle, the first thing we should do is we should write down the radius and the diameter of that circle. So the radius and the diameter. Okay, now the radius is the distance from the centre of the circle to the edge, which is called the circumference. So from the centre to the edge is the radius. So the radius of this is 4 centimetres. So our radius here is 4 centimetres. Now I'm still going to write down the diameter because I might want to use it in another way later. And the diameter, that is double the length of the radius. And the radius is half of the diameter. Okay, so the diameter is twice the length of the radius is 4 centimetres, so we double the radius, we get 8 centimetres. Okay, now I've determined that I'm trying to find the area. I'm going to use my formula for the area of the circle to calculate the area of this circle, and you will need a calculator. Everything you do here will be done with a calculator. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write out my formula, which I've already done, and I'm going to swap the letter r for what I've determined the radius to be, which is 4. So it's pi times 4 squared. Okay, now if you type that into your calculator will give you the answer 16 pi. And that's because we always write the number in front of the symbol, especially when it comes to algebra. And because 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. Now if your question asks you to leave your answer in terms of pi, that is how you're going to leave your answer. If it asks for your answer to 1 or 2 decimal places, or even a certain number of significant figures, then you will need to type into your calculator 16 pi and press the SD button, which is located above the cancel button. And in this case we've got an answer of 50.3 centimetres squared to 1 decimal place. Okay, really important we have that squared in there. It's an area, so it must be squared. Okay. Now let's have a look at a question where we've got something slightly different. Okay, so very first thing we do with a circle, we write down the radius and the diameter. Okay, now remember the the radius goes from the centre to the edge, and the diameter is twice the length. So what the diameter is a line that goes across a circle through the middle. Okay, it splits it in half. Now the diameter here is 12. It's going all the way across through the centre, so the diameter is 12 centimetres. The radius is half of the diameter, so that must be 6 centimetres. So step 1 complete. We've written down the diameter, we've written down the radius. We're trying to find the area, so I need to write down the formula for the area, which is pi times the radius squared. So pi times the radius squared. So let's swap out my r for the actual value, so that's 6, so pi times 6 squared, which if I type into my calculator now would be 36 pi. 6 squared is 36, pi is 3.14 to 2 decimal places, and it is always 3.14 to 2 decimal places. And that's how I'm going to leave my answer if it asks me to leave it in terms of pi. But if it doesn't ask me to do that, then I need to go the next step, press that SD button, and we get 113.1 centimetres squared to 1 decimal place. Sorry, just out of shot there. Okay, so that's how we find the area of a circle when we've been given the radius and when we've been given the diameter. So, what about when we're given a question where we need to read a bit and determine for ourselves, such as this question here. This is an exam question. It's been taken from a GCSE paper. Okay. Jenny has a lawn in the shape of a circle of radius 10 metres. Now before I read any further, the very first thing I can do is I can draw a circle, I can draw a diagram, which is going to help me answer this question. Okay. And I can give it a radius of 10 metres. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay. And there we go, you've got my circle at the bottom there. She is going to fertilise the lawn. Fertiliser is sold in bags. Each bag of fertiliser will cover 26 metres squared of lawn. Work out an estimate for the number of bags of fertiliser Jenny needs. Okay, so there's a lot to digest there, but we're going to do it one step at a time. Very first thing to do is draw our circle, write down what our radius and diameter is. Now we know we're working with area because it says metres squared in the question, so there's an element of area in this. And I'm going to need to work out how much area that garden is to begin with. So we're going to do our pi times radius squared to find the area of this circle. So it's pi times 10 squared. So that's going to be 100 pi. Now because it said estimate, this question's been taken from a non-calculator paper. Now, we've already said pi is 3.14 to 2 decimal places. And because it has said estimate, I need to do some rounding. So I'm going to round pi, and I'm going to say that pi is worth 3. So, this is actually 3 times 100, because pi is 3. And therefore that's 300 metres squared. Okay. Now, that's how much the area is on the garden. Okay, is 300 metres squared. And we need to work out how many bags Jenny needs, and each bag covers 26 metres squared. Well, 26 metres is not a nice number, so I'm going to round that as well, and I'm actually going to round it to 25 metres squared because it's very close to 26 and it's a nice number that will go into 300 easily. You could also round it up to 30. Okay, that is another thing, one significant figure. You could also round that up to 30, but I'm going to round it to 25. So I want to write this. I want to write one bag equals 25 metres squared. Remember, this is only an estimate. Okay, so if I then do the total area divided by the area covered by one bag, it will give me the number of bags that I need. Now there are 4 25s in 100, so 100 is 4 bags, 200 must be 8, so 300 must be 12 bags. And that is my final answer. And that's how we find the area of a circle and then apply it.